Welcome to Fusing the Unfusable. Today's guest is a lawyer, Gabriel. Gabriel Khoury is a lawyer, nearly 20 years of experience in this region. He's worked in private practices and in-house roles, mostly focused on banking and finance.
Yes.
And at some point, he started to get into crypto, and he shifted in 2021 to advising and setting up a practice at Silk Legal in Dubai that is dedicated to Web3 and blockchain projects. He's currently advises startups and even more established players in navigating their legal challenges and launching their projects. Gabriel's also created a law module and teaches it along with Introduction to Banking, Finance and Capital Markets at St. Joseph University in Dubai. St. Joseph University is a Lebanese university, but they have a campus in Dubai, and he's running that, and it's amazing. Thanks for joining us today on the show, on the podcast, Gabriel. As a disclaimer, we don't usually cover any investments or financial advice. In this case, you are a legal advisor, but anything that we discuss today is not contextual, right? So if anyone needs legal advice, they should seek either their lawyer, or if they want to reach out to you, we'll provide a link to so they can reach out to you and the team at Silkland Legal. Let's get into it, right?
Yeah. Thank you for the intro.
Let's get into it. What's the most, right now, what's the most recent update on compliance regulations UAE? We know that there was a law published a couple of days ago. As much as you can talk about it, you may not have digested it or finished analyzing it. How, and we've all seen ads claiming that in the UAE we can pay for land, property, we can pay for cars using crypto. And is this going to change? Is this affected? And for companies, there are companies that pay their employees using crypto stablecoins. How does that affect them?
Well, thank you for this. First, yes, as you know, all the legal and the compliance field are moving fast. Stablecoin is a very critical components in the crypto sphere, and 2 days ago the central bank issued a regulation related to how a stablecoin should be issued and how it should be used, and it repealed anything related to a digital payment that occurred before that period. This is an important evolution in the crypto sphere in the UAE, and broadly speaking as well, because it set the stone for other regulators maybe to follow suit if they think that this is the right approach to take. And the central bank mentioned that no payment should be done unless it's a token that is issued in UAE, and it's a UAE pegged token, or if there is a foreign token that was foreign stable coin, it should be registered also and properly approved by the central bank before being utilized among the community. Now, how it's gonna affect? So any payment should be done only via this type of tokens, the token, the stable coin that is issued in UAE.
So just to zero in on this, we know that the regulator does, I know, for example, FSRA has approved certain stable coins. Is this the case? USDC, USDT?
Yes, a part of the law will not apply to the financial free zones. So we're still checking how this is going to be implemented across the full jurisdictions in the UAE.
So is the concern of the central bank payments, when we're talking about payments in the free market, people buying and selling in the street, instead of using their debit cards, them going to buy with crypto? So does this affect what we said about properties and buying goods and services with crypto?
So the law referred to anything related to custody and transfer of these stable coins. And it's also a bit unclear how they're gonna regulate everybody who is touching a USDT or USDC, and then we're gonna see. because USDT and USDC will have to be approved first, and the person dealing with them also, as exchange, for example, they'll have to take an objection letter to be able to custody or to convert USDT into other type of stable coins or other type of currencies. So it's still a bit
it's complex.
Yeah.
It's complex. We know that in the jurisdictions we have in the UAE, FSRA and VARA, they do obviously regulate exchanges. So exchanges, if they have those tokens approved, they are allowed to, but they need to have a central bank approval, as I understand it. So it's relatively new at the time of the filming of this episode. So we still don't have the full analysis, and hopefully you're going to be able to complete that. And we don't expect you today to have that full analysis. Let's move on, because I think you need time to digest it, and then I think the law sometimes takes time to be explained better.
And there is a transition period also for it to be implemented.
So you're based in the IFC, which is the Dubai International Financial Center, but you also work with the FSRA in Abu Dhabi, and you work with VARA in Dubai, two authorities that regulate Web3 companies. What are the biggest challenges that companies face when they apply for regulatory approval here in the UAE? What are some of the biggest challenges?
Let me put it this way. It's interesting to have several regulators covering this kind of activities. Some of our clients are mostly interested in a particular area of Web3, for example, on the fund management or on the investment management. So based on the client's preferences, we usually tend to advise him on which regulator to approach. Some of the challenges that we face is to really focus on the client needs and its project on the longer term, so that we avoid approaching several times the regulator or to have to amend its application several times down the road, because it's going to delay the full process, the registration process. Therefore, we have to be very careful since day one while approaching any of the regulators with a clean and clear vision for that client, so that we can pick and choose the right license for its activities. The more we are clear, and the more the process of applying is easy, and it will be faster for the regulator also to give the license accordingly.
I've been through it for one of the startups I worked for, and it's not an easy process. It takes months. It takes months, and it's quite complex. The amount of documentation is so. I think the advice you're giving is really valuable, because doing the pre-planning before applying, making sure that you're applying for the right thing, and looking ahead will save time and money, obviously.
And you have other factors also in parallel: getting the real estate done, the employees, the pre-period, the pre-launch or pre-setup. So all this requires a meticulous work.
Budget planning, because often here
Also,
really your rents and things are so could be a major part of your budget. So if you don't time it the right way, you could rent your office, not have your license. So you might be bleeding cash, and that becomes a problem. And it's good that they have you to advise them, because and looking at all that, not just the legal part.
Yeah, timing is crucial. Yeah, indeed.
Absolutely. What, for some of the companies that are not based here, we know that there's a lot of attention here in the UAE. The view is really positive for us here in the UAE, because we have these regulatory jurisdictions, and they're seemingly well developed. For some of the companies on the outside, right, that are looking, maybe listening to this, and they would like to get involved, and maybe take advantage of this positive regulatory climate here, what is the best way for them to get involved and start discussions about setting up here? How would you advise them?
So we usually start with an intro call with them to understand their project in details. Some of them might require a heavy licensing process. Some of them might require another, let's put it this way, non-regulated license provided by any other of the centers here in the UAE. So once we CERN properly this, it's going to be very easy to put a case or put a license and advise accordingly. So that's how we provide them also with several options based on their needs or expectations at least, and they will take few a moment or time to decide how to progress, because usually they don't know about the challenges that they may face. They don't know about the fees. They don't know about they hear that it's come to Dubai and it's gonna be easy, but there is a lot of setbacks or some surprises down the road that they need to be fully aware of upfront. And this is what we tell them, and then we advise them on to which license to go.
So basically, do a lot of research, talk to the right people, talk to companies like yourselves, so that make sure that they have as much information as possible before they start spending money investing.
And often they tell us, we hear that we can do this or that, and I seriously don't know from where they got these informations, because we are into it day in, day out, and it's really a bit weird to see how people sometimes they have information that I'm not so sure where it's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, it could be dated. It could be misinterpretation of articles that they've read that weren't written by lawyers, and it is a risk. And I'll be honest, I read the central bank law that was issued 2 days ago, and it didn't raise any red flags for me. But then when I thought about it and had a few discussions, it definitely merits attention and analysis, and definitely to make sure that we, are aware of all the implications. So most people don't read properly, and that's why we have lawyers, right?
And the implementation is crucial. So even any law, if it's not well implemented, you have plenty of laws, not only here but in general. If they are not properly followed up, or there are no mechanism behind it to check what's going on, it's going to be very difficult for any regulator to implement them properly.
Yeah, that whole space is challenging, and definitely I think the UAE with the jurisdictions have done well. They've done well globally. It's recognized, and it's thanks to the wisdom of the leadership of the country. They've hired very smart regulators from all over the world. I've worked with some of them, really, really impressive people. So they definitely have the brains here at the regulators, and but this industry changes so fast, and it causes so many things. And then you obviously have, the fact that we are, not just looking at the central bank, we're looking globally, the FATF, the gray list, and all these factors that come in, and being a very dynamic business centers here, Abu Dhabi and Dubai, there's so much going on. There's a lot of money flowing. So I understand the concerns that the central bank would be looking at this, and then there's this idea of CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, that they're trying to implement. So in a way, they want to kind of prepare. I think some of them are close to launching. So we'll see what happens with that. We've discussed I think we've discussed some of the points in this question, but
talking about speed. So the last bull run, I think it was more on NFT sides, DeFi, a bit of gaming, also gaming. Today is meme coins. And also you have Deepin, and you have a lot of source of other activities that are every day we hear about it, and we need to educate ourselves also for us to follow, and then to be able to, in case there is a client that wanted to implement these, to be able to also advise him properly.
Yeah, I mean, that must be a
So
challenge
it's
for you
it's
because it's not just reading the laws, it's
no.
how do you continuously educate yourself to make sure
Yes,
that your practice is up
yes,
to date.
yes.
Deep in is
And
something that I'm fascinated in.
and we honestly we don't sleep. We are 24/7 like the crypto community. Always new things, always new challenges, always interesting projects and non-interesting projects as well.
Hopefully podcasts like ours will help with that as well by raising issues and bringing experts to talk about this and be useful. What yeah, this is a big, obviously it's a challenge, and yeah, we have to manage our sanity by still getting some rest and some sleep and some exercise, not just trying to keep up with the speed of this crazy industry, which I love.
And
We
we
love,
also-
we love, yeah, we love. So going back to what we're talking about, startups and companies, and I always like to ask this question: is what are some of the biggest risks? What are the penalties? Like, give us some, spook us. Like, what are some of the biggest risks that startups face, and if they don't do, what could happen? What are the consequences?
So from a regulatory perspective, we are still seeing, unfortunately, people that are not taking the local laws, digital laws, and digital laws into very seriously. The risk would remain fine and potentially jail, because you have a lot of scammers, and you have a lot of people who think that it can be done below the radar, which is not the case. And even the good thing is that you have a lot of players or clients that started in a very non-conform way, or non-good way, and then they come to us. They want, with a good intention, to rectify all what have been done in the past. And this is what we encourage a lot of people to do, and we are doing. And we start reworking from scratch, from shareholder agreement to restructuring the companies, and reviewing all the documentation without making any reference, when it shouldn't be, to any regulation that is not covering their topics. And this is relieving the client from a lot of pressure, because they can now focus on the project itself and focus properly on developing it and making it succeed, especially on all levels.
I always say that startups, they spend, the CEO spends too much time raising funds, and then if they spend too much time worrying about legal, then how much energy and time and bandwidth do they have left to actually develop the product? So it's really important to have good legal advice.
Yeah, this is why they should take it seriously from day one, because it will save them time, money, and energy down the road. Honestly, we are seeing a lot of these scenarios happening again and again.
Yeah, we like the term.
Every 2-3 days, we have somebody checking and how to, let's put it this way, rectify the stance.
Compliant by design, much like...
and it will cost them much more than starting properly.
Yeah, doing it the right way is the more economical, because when you're compliant by design, you inject and include
the good culture within
the culture, obviously, because then you don't have to deal with that. So, my final question to you, Gabriel, as a professor, and I love education. We've hosted people that are in that field. As a professor and working with these minds, and I imagine your students. So first of all, where do most of the students come from? I know that at USG, USJ in English, most of the students that studying law are Emirati. Is this the case?
So it's a mix. Most of them, half of them, let's put it this way, are Emirati. Half of them are from the region, be it Lebanese, Syrian, or Palestinians.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
My question to you, since we are a Web3 focused podcast, is what do these young minds, and they're studying law, you've now offered them the opportunity to study about crypto. What do they think about Web3?
So indeed, I developed the module to make it more appealing to the students, and most of them so far let's put it, 80% of the students are not aware of Web3 in details. What's the blockchain, how it operates, what are the challenges, the opportunities, and the potential. But the remaining 20% are fully traders and are very knowledgeable about the opportunities behind it.
So I imagine that as lawyers, because USG is here is a campus it's a law school. They're looking at it from two aspects. One is if they could build a practice around it once they graduate.
Yes,
right?
The technology and the legal challenges and the legal position, be it in the UAE or abroad, US, Europe, MICA, SEC, and so on.
And there's a shortage of legal minds in this field. Would you say that is accurate as well?
So, I know that maybe I'm very from the very beginning. So 2-3 years actually, when we met at one of the dinners, it was still in COVID, and you pushed me towards one of the L1s to learn about it. So slowly I grabbed through this road and this route, and it was fun.
And to me, what's really interesting and is the challenge. So I look at from a challenge from a Web3 industry is that we need to make it more user-friendly, easier to understand, and prep it for mass adoption. So for me, it's good to see that 20% of your students, you would say, are actually knowledgeable. Of those 20%, some are trading, but they might not necessarily understand the technology. So I think we have a lot of work to do. One, to educate, but two, to make our product much more user-friendly. And what are some of the things that you as a consumer of Web3, right? Not necessarily from a legal standpoint, what would you like to see things like easier to use?
Easier interface. Even me, I struggle with the ledger. Each time I want to do a transaction, I sweat a bit. So the easy,
cold wallets.
The cold wallets and a more user-friendly interface.
I know that some people are working on it.
And to be spread properly so that people are not afraid anymore about all the technological aspect of it behind the scenes.
Definitely. I think, the other thing, and I worked on this for a custody company. Custody is definitely an option for larger amounts. So if you have large amounts of crypto, it's better to have a custodian that will take away all that risk, right? They're insured, they're regulated, they take away that risk. And then you can sleep at night not worrying about sending your funds to the wrong address.
A few days ago, we had a call with a potential big custodian checking around also. So it's a good point that you raised.
Yeah. Gabriel, thank you so much for being on the show. We look forward to having you again, maybe to discuss new laws and keeping us all up to date. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karim. My pleasure.